Hello everyone, as you can see today, there are two boxes, half my height each. As I review this tower speaker, it's actually a compact floor standing speaker. Despite the large box, the internal speaker is quite small. Compact floor standers are popular with Hong Kong audiophiles. Buying bookshelf speakers, you also need speaker stands. A floor stander takes up almost the same amount of space. In the past, people often thought floor standers were difficult to position or drive. But being difficult to position or drive isn't something you'll encounter with this brand. Today we're checking out this Danish Audiovector, a relatively compact floor standing speaker, the QR5 SE. SE stands for Special Edition, with upgraded drivers and materials. As for the price, it's cheaper than previous ones. In this video, I'll be testing this pair of speakers to see how large they really are, whether they're easy to work with, then how they actually sound. Let's find out if they're really suitable for audiophiles who want it all but don't have much space. Alright, let's unbox them first. Be careful not to damage this foam packaging. Once it breaks, it crumbles into pieces. And these spikes, we'll install them later. Oh, okay. Turns out this is the bottom of the speaker. That gave me a scare XD. Since this is the bottom, let's fit the spikes first. Piano gloss finish. It looks beautiful too. The bass reflex port is here. The grill is magnetically attached. Oh, done! There it is. This is how tall it is. It's really quite compact. Oh, 3 drivers. 1 AMT tweeter. With this many drivers, bass output should be more than sufficient. Unboxing's done. No need to film the other one! We've reviewed Danish Audiovector several times before. Their speaker lineup is divided into 2 series, the Premium R series and the more affordable QRSE series. There are 4 main models, 1, 3, 5, and 7. There are also center speakers and subwoofers if you want to build a home theater. The QR5 SE we're testing today is a 3-way 4-driver bass reflex design. Let's start with the tweeter. As you can see, it's Audiovector's in-house AMT tweeter, the Gold Leaf AMT 2. According to the manufacturer, this new AMT tweeter offers even greater high-frequency extension. The official specification says it extends all the way up to 102 kHz. Of course, we can't hear 102 kHz, but that specification means the driver has plenty of operating headroom, giving it better phase accuracy and lower distortion within the audible frequency range. Also in front of the AMT tweeter, you'll notice a gold mesh. It's not just for decoration, it's an S-stop acoustic filter, an acoustic dispersion mesh that controls the AMT tweeter's dispersion, making its directivity smoother, while simultaneously reducing unpleasant sibilance. As for the 3 mid-bass drivers, there's 1 6-inch midrange and 2 6-inch woofers. They all use the company's Pure Piston Technology design. Even at high playback levels, they maintain low distortion while preserving speed and a natural tonal character. The 2 woofers also received upgrades. Although you can't see them, they use a dual magnet system with 2 sets of magnets to increase magnetic flux density for better control and less dynamic compression during playback. The driver diaphragms are carefully engineered from a 3-layer sandwich construction with a soft damping layer between 2 aluminium alloy layers to reduce resonance and improve damping. The crossover uses newly developed dual cryogenically treated polypropylene copper-clad capacitors. These capacitors were developed in-house, and the metal casing improves heat dissipation during prolonged high-power operation. The change in resistance is kept to a minimum, allowing the crossover to operate more consistently. The SE series also features nanopore damping material inside the cabinet, strategically placed to absorb internal reflections, reduce standing waves, improve mid-range transparency, and minimize cabinet coloration. As for the bass reflex port, it's located at the front underside of the speaker. It's called the Q-port bass reflex, while increasing bass output. It also reduces port noise and improves bass control and speed. Now let's look at the specifications. The crossover points are 400 Hz and 3 kHz. Sensitivity is 91 dB, nominal impedance is 4 ohms. Frequency response is 24 Hz to 45 kHz. So although the tolerance in dB isn't specified, the dimensions are shown on screen, but the weight isn't listed. The speakers are available in 3 standard wood finishes and colors and are still handmade in Denmark, manufactured in-house in their home country. For many buyers, that's a very important purchasing consideration. For this Audiovector QR 5C review, these speakers are actually very easy to drive, even though they're 4 ohms, so they don't need a huge amount of amplifier power. But they do demand high amplifier quality, so this time I paired them with the Goldman Telos 690, misspoke, integrated amplifier. Of course, the amplifier costs more than the speakers, but it lets them reach their full potential. The source components are also from my reference system. The Rune server is the Rockna Wavelight server, and the DAC is the Mola Mola Tambaki. Let's have a listen first. Alright, let's talk about the sound. To start off, for a compact floor-standing speaker, this pair delivers a genuinely large-scale presentation. With live recordings and classical music, they perform exceptionally well. At the same time, they're also very refined, with an abundance of detail. Simply put, they combine impressive scale with artful finesse. Another thing worth praising, just like other high-quality Audiovector speakers, is that even though they use an AMT tweeter, the integration between the AMT tweeter and the cone midrange is exceptionally seamless, with no noticeable discontinuity. That's what we call excellent tonal balance. Of course, the AMT tweeter is still the star of the show. Its smooth high-frequency extension is truly remarkable, and it stands as one of the speaker's greatest strengths. An even bigger advantage is that despite such excellent treble, audio recordings with aggressive high frequencies that might sound excessively harsh on other speakers, or produce highly unpleasant sibilance, don't do that with this AMT tweeter. Perhaps thanks to the S-stop, so that issue simply doesn't occur. There are 2 bass drivers, plus a bass reflex port. So is there too much bass? After listening very attentively to the sounds for several days, I'd say the bass is more about speed than sheer weight, with excellent control and never sounding loose. So yes, it delivers the bass output you'd expect from a floor stander, but it's never slow or excessive. The mid-range is exceptionally well layered, and vocals have a beautiful sense of texture. So should you toe the speakers in? I think the AMT tweeter on this speaker has a very wide horizontal dispersion, so whether you absolutely do not toe them in at all, or toe them in slightly, both work extremely well. As for the distance from the rear wall, because the bass reflex port fires downward and is positioned towards the front, about 1 to 2 feet from the rear wall is already more than enough. As for partnering equipment, I'd recommend components with a rich sense of texture, or cables with a similar character. I've talked about many of this speaker's strengths, so what are its weaknesses? I always mention a product's shortcomings in my reviews, because no product in the world is perfect. I hope everyone understands that. The same applies to Audiovector speakers. Their sensitivity is generally quite high, and on paper they're easy to drive. I say on paper since they don't really need a high-powered amplifier to produce a significant amount of sound pressure, but their nominal impedance is 4 ohms, so they need an amplifier with stable current delivery. To perform at their best, an extremely high-powered amplifier isn't necessarily the best match in my opinion. Strictly speaking though, that's not really a weakness. The single-wire speaker terminals mean you can't run a bi-amp setup. Other than that, I really can't think of any obvious shortcomings. We often see hi-fi manufacturers claiming that their mid-range and entry-level products inherit flagship technologies and materials trickled down from the top models. But to be honest, If every flagship technology were trickled down, who would still buy the flagship? On the other hand, if nothing gets trickled down, then the entry-level models lose their value. And this Audiovector QR5 SE 3-way 4-driver floor-standing speaker, at its current selling price, if you compare the specifications, you'll know the manufacturer hasn't given you everything. But from what you actually hear, compared with the next model up from the same brand, it genuinely delivers about 70% of the performance, at roughly half the price. So if you're pursuing absolute sonic perfection, then of course I tell you to buy Audiovector's flagship R series. But if you're budget conscious and looking for outstanding value while refusing to compromise too much on quality, then I think you should make this pair a priority audition. The Audiovector QR5 SE, your chances of finding your ideal speaker are significantly higher,